What broke your friendship with your best friend? Nothing, man. People grow apart. Clinging to friendships from high school is kinda sad. You were randomly sat next to a person in a class and now you're hell-bent on keeping that alive. This whole, how do you make friends as an adult, is stupid. People are looking for friends how they had in high school. That doesn't exist anymore. Let go of nostalgia chasing. People are adults with kids, spouses, jobs, and stress. You're not gonna have that kind of friendship anymore. I've had thousands of friends. I've lived in half a dozen different countries and you gotta be okay with letting people go and all. When you were 15 you had free time and no worries and that friendship was just filling that void. No communication. She mysteriously fell into canon. I still don't understand how it happened. His girlfriend called me one day because he got arrested and couldn't bail him out. I put up the bond and they never paid me back. Life really. He got married and had a kid, it was harder for him to make time to play video games or hang out. Totally understandable too. Eventually I ended up moving to another state as well. He raped a mutual friend. Not best but a close friend. Slept with my ex the moment she moved out, didn't say anything and continued to come round my place, and then when I learned about it and asked he refused to talk about it. 3 years of friendship. She left me for a 20-year-old, we were 13 back then. She stopped talking to me because I was ruining her relationship. Stopped talking to me for a year, then her relationship turned abusive and she contacted me to help her out of it. I almost got punched by her ex-boyfriend and got stalked by multiple 20-year-olds. And she still said I don't do anything for her. And when I told her I was sick of 20-year-olds stalking me, calling me multiple times and threatening me, she told me I was overreacting. She treated me like shit and always flirted with people I liked for fun. Made fun of me in front of guys. Body shamed me. Always treated me like I was the villain. Found him with his dick in my girlfriend's mouth. They both claimed it was a moment of weakness, but a mutual friend of hers sent me screenshots of the chat conversation they were both having. Shit was going on for 2 years. It was a 5 to 6 year process. When he went off to college he began acting like a spoiled brat, complained about everything all the time, just generally negative. Post-college he became extremely difficult to hang out with due to him simply not putting any time aside for me. His most common excuse was that he was busy playing video games. On the rare occasion we did hang out, he was either miserable, or spent the entire time gloating about having more money than me. The straw that broke the camel's back was his flavor of the month politics, for which he'd go all in for without anything more than surface-level research. It was at this point that I started an argument with him that I shouldn't have. He got way nastier than he should have. His creepy associates then started piling on. This is when I cut all ties. Ending a 26-year friendship is painful. Life has been generally better since. This was made for me. She left me for a dude. We made a promise after losing my sister to her boyfriend not to leave each other for a boy. Didn't last long. 4 years wasted plus my mental health out the door. Other friend. Broken promise involving compensation for work started it. Insults when I asked about it finished it. When I outgrew her. His opiate addiction. Tried to help when he got kicked out of his parents' house. He stole from me to pay for his addiction. I kicked him out. Drugs are a bitch, don't do them. I tend to try and avoid talking about all the dark heavy things in my life, and whenever I spent time with my friend I would try to talk about the fun aspects of my life. Somehow, for them, that felt like I was bragging and purposefully trying to make them jealous. Instead of talking to me about it they just started blowing me off all the time, treating me like I didn't matter. That went on for a while and I just sort of retreated from the relationship and kept contact to a minimum because it just made me feel awful whenever I engaged. Eventually, I came to find out that they were retaliating against me because of the perception they had. Well, that conversation sucked. I was pretty hurt and in the end I'm pretty sure they still think that they were right about me trying to make them jealous. I spend every day fighting intrusive thoughts, trying to justify my existence, trying as hard as I can to make myself disappear, to not be a bother, and I'm supposed to want you to be jealous of that? Fuck me for not wanting to be a drama queen about how terrible the baseline of my life is and only focusing on the moments that rise above that. If I'm being honest, that was the end of me trusting anyone and really the end of all my friendships. That experience will stay with me until I die, alone. He never grew up. Daddy was a multi-millionaire and an enabler. At the sweet age of 30 now, he's never held a job, and just plays video games, and parties. He only dates younger since the people his age see through his BS. She didn't like the fact that I left my husband and started to date, well, only one woman, who I had known before the breakup. She just ghosted me. He's homophobic. Best friend from 2nd grade, moved away, never saw him ever again. I still miss him every once in a while, I don't even know if he remembers me. Got an hour or two. She was always a bitch and we would fight all the time and be friends again the next day. Not in quarantine. The problem wasn't solved as quick as it would be usually. It lead to bullying, and other stuff trot the internet. Lots of drama. Anyways, after 2 years we are friends again, but not even close to best friends, and it will never be the same. She was my maid of honor. 4 days before my wedding in the bridal group chat she got mad at me because she didn't attend the group call. She was invited and she saw the message with date/time of the call. She just didn't show up and I had other things to worry about than her not being able to make it. I mentioned something from that call in the group chat and flipped because we didn't do another one more convenient for her. She then proceeded to insult me and my wedding choices for 45 minutes and told everyone in the group chat about some of the things I told her in confidence. Laughed at the fact my wedding wasn't as big as hers and so not really worth her attention. Needless to say, I was devastated. That night I told her she was no longer needed at our wedding and I didn't want her there. She blocked me everywhere. My husband. We met through a mutual friend. A year into our relationship he starts pointing out how bad of a friend she is, how she has nothing going on for herself. She was single, so she did it with whoever she wanted. He turned his insecurities towards me and basically drove our whole friendship apart. I couldn't babysit her dog anymore. He would cause arguments on days I was supposed to hang out with her. Fast forward to 6 years later. He has a friend who lives on dating apps and is single doing the same thing, but he sees no flaws. An old friend turned out be gay. At what point? I don't know. I have nothing against gay people, but after a time he began to intimate that he'd like to have sex with me. The intimations were subtle, and at first, I ignored them, not wanting to give a friendship that had existed since boyhood, but I finally grew tired of it. I finally realized that his compulsion would not go away, so I stopped contacting him and eventually stopped hearing from him altogether. Older now and realizing that friends are not made as easily as when younger, I sometimes wonder if I did the right thing. But life goes on. Stole $20 and lied. The only time my friendship with a best friend at the time was broken was when she lied to me about her husband abusing her and leaving her and their daughter with no car and no groceries. My significant other and I arranged a grocery delivery so they wouldn't starve. Then, after forgiving her for lying, her husband never laid a finger on her. She wanted food he didn't want to buy, mostly junk. She then told me her daughter died and she was all broken up about it. Then I didn't hear from her for 6 months. I was broken up about her daughter. I used to send her birthday and Christmas gifts and talk to her on the phone daily after I would talk to my so-called friend. I called out of the blue 6 months later to find out why she ended the friendship without a word and her daughter answered the phone. I realized she was a manipulative individual and never my best friend to begin with. My current best friend is amazing and we are truly best friends for life. Good things come to those who wait. He got married and since his wife didn't want him to party anymore, he ended our friendship. It's not like I would have expected him to party with me 24/7. I figured we could catch up once in a while, if not for a beer then maybe a coffee, but no, it was either her or me. Oh well, hope he is happy in his life, at least. His parents just died in a car accident about a month ago, got creamed by a bus while running a red light lol, and he's still not over it. I just sorta avoided him until about 2 weeks ago to try and ask for my 4K Blu-ray of Endgame that I let him borrow. He was just silent for like 10 seconds and I thought the call may have gotten dropped until he went ape and told me to not talk to him anymore. He's blocked me too, so now I have to drop $20 just to get another copy. Best school friend from junior school until secondary school. Regular sleepovers, and his parents took me on holiday. He and his older brothers were obsessively homophobic. I don't know why. They weren't a religious family, their parents were really nice. They were also massive misogynists, so I think they just had all kinds of messed up beliefs. I knew I was gay before I knew there was a word for it and other people like me existed. He once said to me and a couple of other boys, if any of you turn out to be gay, I'll seriously stop being your friend. So I found better friends. I came out at secondary school, well after we stopped hanging out. He came over to me and chatted about music and video games at the leavers party. I think he was probably really ashamed of himself, and mourned the friendship. I left the country for years. Recently my mum recognized his mum at some old lady club. When they next met, my friend had said to give me his number. I haven't used it,